Hey, hi everybody. So we are live after I think a gap of a week. So sorry for that. But today we are here and we are talking about a topic which I think a lot of people would be very interested in. Uh, so people would be very much it's in a hype and Bitcoin and all everybody keeps talking about. What we'll talk about today, though, is we will talk about blockchain, the core, technology on top of which all of these cryptocurrencies work. But blockchain is also used for a lot of other things like smart contracts, decentralized finance, decentralized government, many things happening. And we have been seeing that these days, jobs in the blockchain domain are also increasing. Even big companies are starting to, hire for blockchain engineers, and we will discuss about that with Abhimanyu. So, uh, you know, to get started with, obviously it is something in the hype, and it is every time Bitcoin price goes up, this blockchain hype increases every time. Everybody starts talking more about it. Current state, what do you think in terms of tech jobs, though? Not about the hype. People are talking about, invest in Bitcoin, this, that. But in terms of tech jobs in blockchain, do you think that is, gradually increasing? Do you think it's a field that will grow for blockchain developers?
Right, right. So actually, first, there is two distinction as you pointed out that there is cryptocurrency and there is blockchain, right? And cryptocurrency is I think, the financial solution built on top of blockchain. Blockchain is more fundamental than that, right?
Correct.
And then if we look at that, there's, let's say, if I say that there is a fundamental technology concept which is blockchain. On top of that, people created various cryptocurrencies, and then in cryptocurrencies we have your Bitcoin. There might be Ethereum, and then there might be some other shit coin, as they call it, that keep coming every day. Or Elon Musk might be talking about Doge or whatever. But essentially, irrespective of what ups or downs might be happening in the cryptocurrency market, blockchain as a piece of technology is that definitely a very interesting piece of technology. It definitely has a lot of uses which have a potential of very big impact. In a very fundamental ways, what blockchain gives us capability to build is basically, there is this concept of trustless systems, right? If we see that the systems around us, there is always, like most of the things on which the world runs, they are like, high trust systems. So for example, when you keep your money in the bank, you trust the bank that the bank will not run away, right? uh, or let's say, when you are putting value to a currency, when I say that, I am okay with my employer paying me salary in Indian INR, Indian rupee, or US dollar, then again you are putting a trust in the Indian government or American government that the piece of paper they are giving me, it will retain its value, right? So there is an inherent trust. What blockchain enables us to build solutions are which do not have to necessarily depend on trust. Rather, it's a more of a unanimous public ledger. And the applications could be plenty, right? One obvious application that comes to mind is of currency, and that is why we see a lot of the maximum number of uses of blockchain currency. That being said, as a developer, definitely, people who understand this piece of technology well, even actually right now, one thing that I can tell you is that, while of course I wouldn't say that there are millions of job available in the for a blockchain engineer, but the thing is that even few thousand jobs which are which companies are trying to hire for, and the number of people who are expert in blockchain is probably very very low right now. So it's a extremely scarce technical talent right now. And what
Right.
that leads to is that there is massive amount of wealth being created. And I may give this anecdotal example that I heard from someone that there is a Ukrainian development blockchain crypto development company
Right.
with 5 developers, and monthly they make many $1 million as their, just as a software development fees for the companies they do the development work for,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
uh, so because it's a piece of technology where that very few, and it is actually, very candidly, it's a very specialized field of software development. So the programmers who are able to excel in developing very high quality blockchain applications are the best developers first. They are the best programmers first, right? So at this intersection there are very few, and what that leads to is that exceptionally high billing rates or exceptionally high payments being made to the developer. Crypto, for example, in itself is multi-trillion dollar economy already, with very few people involved in it. And so definitely it has massive amount of, like, apart from the hype of the cryptocurrency, which is actually always kind of fluctuating, it is unstable. So it is very hard to comment which cryptocurrency will actually work or not. But as a piece of technology, blockchain definitely, I do very strongly believe is that will remain for very long time, and people who are expert in it will have a lot of benefit for them.
Right. That makes definitely a lot of sense. I mean, see, like the Ukrainian company you were talking about. Here in India also there's this company called Frontier. They do some blockchain solutions and all. I know a friend of mine who works on their mobile app. The CTO is also well known. So he was also recently saying, yeah, please start something at Scalar also about blockchain. We're not getting
Yeah.
engineers for this, and it's a high lot in demand. We're a very small team itself. We are earning so much as blockchain solutions and all.
Right.
So definitely, this is something that is growing. I think for young engineers who are getting into this field, one thing I feel they should be always very aware of it, that this is not really only about cryptocurrencies as we originally discussed about. So are you also seeing that like blockchain getting used in other domains as well, like apart from just the cryptocurrency thing, like you're seeing blockchain used in different technical solutions?
Right. No, absolutely. As I mentioned, that blockchain essentially is a fundamental technology piece. While its most famous uses are in the currency, in the storage of value, but that doesn't mean that is the only way. So, for example, one very common uses of blockchain technology that many of the audience or might have still heard is NFT, non-fungible tokens, right? Now, NFT, for example, has nothing to do with currency. Now, let's say one use case where, again, as I mentioned, that blockchain helps build you trustless systems, right? Now, let's say if I tell you about art, right? If there is, let's say, like right behind you, I think now I see some piece of art, right? Which is might be some painting. Uh,
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
whether this, now the value of the painting will go exponentially high if it was the original painting painted by the, let's say, the original painter. But if it is,
Right.
let's say, if I looked at that painting and I created a replica or I just created a print of it, then suddenly the value goes much lower, right?
Right.
uh, Now, when I'm buying a painting from someone, how do I be sure that it is the original painting and it's not a replica? It's the original painting, let's say, built painted by Picasso or Van Gogh or whoever. Now, again, there is a trust involved there, that I am just trusting the art gallery that the painting they are selling me is original one, right? But now then blockchain also builds a solution for that, right? Similarly, let's say in the world of internet, again, originality loses its meaning, right? If it is a digital art, let's say if I create a digital art, how do I make sure that the digital art copy that someone has is actually the authentic copy that was built by me, and it's not just a digital copy created of it, right?
Right.
So there is this very interesting story. So Metakovan is a crypto billionaire. He's Indian, actually. Interestingly, he's a very good friend
Uh-huh.
of one of my friend Prasanna. So Metakovan is a crypto billionaire, and how he became a billionaire was he invested just about $10,000 in cryptocurrency back in 2011, and that
Right.
kind of increased in value to more than $1 billion. And he bought digital art NFT for $69 million. That was the
Yes.
first
Yes.
auction of a digital art. So blockchain, for example, has now entered into digital art auctions and to ascribe value to art. Similarly, blockchain is also used to kind of even in the medical science or music royalty tracking. So, for example, if I create a music, I can use cryptocurrency to make sure that whenever someone is listening to it, some royalty is transferred over to me through blockchain. Right. So there are
Right.
plenty of uses. One thing that every techie should understand is that blockchain is not about currency alone. There are plenty of very interesting uses that even you can think of. Anything where you feel that the value can be distributed, and I do not want to trust on a centralized authority. You
Right.
can maybe build a solution on blockchain there.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Next question that I would ask is that, given that, the technology is obviously important, and it is, sort of people are both learning. A lot of new people are learning. The jobs are also getting created. Now, if I compare that to sort of, rest of the industry, app development, machine learning, data science, so many fields there. If we now blockchain also becomes another field in that sense. So,
Right.
how high or low in the list of priority would you say,
Right.
developers should put blockchain? Like, is it something
Right.
they must learn today? Is it good
Right.
to have? Is it just
Right.
another, new thing?
Right. 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 So one thing I would want to emphasize very clearly on is that blockchain is not a fancy new piece of technology which is tangential or independent from current set of technologies that we all have been working on, right? So
Right.
a good blockchain developer would be a very good developer first, right? So you may
Right.
consider it, it's like a specialization of in the field, right? So let's say there might be, one might say that neurosurgery is a very new advanced field of surgery, but a
Right.
neurosurgeon will have to be a good surgeon and then a good doctor first. Someone thinking
Correct.
that like neurosurgery is very fancy, so let me not understand, learn the basic medicine or basic surgery, I will directly become neurosurgeon. That is not going to happen, that's not possible, right? So one thing, and with this is in tech, actually this is a common mistake that I see people making, be it AI, ML, data science, or blockchain, IoT, that sometimes people try to think that I will just read some superficial stuff about this advanced technology, and that will lead to very great career outcome. That never happens. First you have to make sure that you focus on building very strong fundamentals, like, so for example, blockchain in itself, it's nothing but a linked list kind of data structure, which is distributed, which is distributed across multiple machines on internet, right? So until and unless you know programming very well, you understand all these data structures, like distributed systems, you understand linked list trees, etc., really well. Without that, the possibility that you will be able to become a good blockchain developer is zero. So first you
Right.
should definitely focus on that. Second is that, of course, everyone doesn't need to become a blockchain developer. Blockchain, rise of blockchain doesn't mean that there will be any reduction in other kind of tech things. uh,
Right.
it is one specialization which is going to grow, which is going to have more demand than what it has right now. And even right
Right.
now, demand versus supply, demand is much higher than the supply, right? So if you
Correct. Correct.
first build your very strong skills, fundamentals in the computer science and programming, and then of course explore blockchain, if it does look interesting to you, then you should maybe take a deep dive, and it might be very rewarding career. That,
Right.
however, you shouldn't be driven by the FOMO, that I should skip any of the fundamentals, be it development, be it learning data structures, algorithms, or how distributed systems work, and jump into
Right.
blockchain. That will not be wise. So it is basically as
Oh, I think lost a little bit of your audio last, I think, 1 minute or so. Hello, are you there? Hey, Abhimanyu. I think there's
pretty
some audio problem. Are you able to hear me properly?
much on the top of the pyramid. It is a specialization. First focus on the fundamentals, and then you can
I think we lost Abhimanyu there for a while. Let me quickly see. Um, I'll just wait for Abhimanyu to sort of join back for a second.
Hello. Hey,
Hey, hey, hey.
am I? Looks like there was some issue on my internet. Am I clearly visible, audible now?
Yes, you are. You are. You are. Yes, yes. I think
Great,
you were
great. Sorry
talking
about
about,
that.
the sort of people should know the fundamentals first. I think you were talking about that. I think that's when we had a little bit of, breaking of connection. Uh,
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So as I was saying that it's important to kind of first build your fundamentals of computer science before jumping into any
hmm,
specialization. But if you think
right,
that one is already good with fundamentals, and then it absolutely makes sense to explore the space. And then if
right.
it looks interesting, then it's better to explore further then.
Right, right, right. So now talking a little bit about India itself, though, India has not been the forefront of this revolution. It's been a little bit picking up, a little lagging behind because of a lot of things. I think regulation as well as interest as well as investment. So. What do you think about the future of both, like I think cryptocurrencies as well as larger blockchain domain in India going in the next few years? How
Right.
does it look like?
Right. No, so actually, at least the early signs right now are very, very promising. Good thing
Hmm.
is that actually there is a strong, even in the, on the policy side as well, there are strong,
Yeah.
lobby groups to kind of promote, the growth in the crypto space, crypto blockchain in general. And if we see,
Correct.
there are quite a few very, high growth companies. There is, I think, Polygon. There is, the WazirX.
Yeah.
These companies
Wazirex.
are doing very well, attracting a lot of capital. What I also know is that, for example, WazirX, Polygon kind of companies, they have even hired a lot of skiller graduates that I have seen.
Yes, yes, they have
The
actually. Yes.
right, so the quality of talent they are attracting, the kind of salaries they are paying, that is generally always an indicator of, like, as they say that, often, in the VC, in my VC friend circle, I also hear that one strongest signal that which space is going to grow a lot is to watch which space is hiring a lot of best engineers at very high salaries, right? Because
Right.
so for example, back in 2011-12, it was e-commerce which was hiring a lot of engineers at a very fast pace,
Right.
and naturally in the forthcoming years we saw the growth, right? Then it was maybe edtech, and then these days actually, one thing that I do see, given from the tech circles, or looking at the movement of a lot of engineers, even skiller grads, what I see that, like a lot of crypto companies are hiring really exceptional talent, in fairly good volumes, paying really good salaries. So that is definitely a very strong indicator that
Right.
the field, there is something very worthwhile happening in the field, right? So in India, I do
Right.
see
Right.
that while we are little late to the party, compared to, let's say, Eastern Europe or US, we are little late to the party as a geography. But it's gonna grow a lot in the coming time in India as well.
Right, right, right. We have had some questions that have, also come in. I think so. Vikas has asked that if at Scalar there is any plans to begin any programs around blockchain.
Yeah, yeah. No, we are exploring that. Only thing that kind of stops us from starting a course is that we would want to make sure that the job space matures up a little more. Because
Right,
if, like, one thing that we take pride in is exceptional actual outcomes for our graduates. And one function of that, if we are starting a cohort, we would want to make sure that there are high quality jobs available for them all as well. So we are just
yeah.
waiting for the space to mature up a little bit more before we start a cohort
Plus we
on that.
are Plus we are still catching up on supply demand on the more conventional engineering space itself, right? I
Right,
mean,
right, right.
I think
um,
even with all these hiring partners whom we showcase our pool to, they still need more people than what we have to
correct,
provide them. So,
correct,
uh,
absolutely. It's a wild wild west in the Indian tech space. So if I go to any employer, probably they would want 10x or 100x more engineers first before worrying about blockchain engineers. So, there are many battles to fight. So we have to pick a few. I think that is the only
Right,
thing which
right.
is stopping us.
Okay, so of course, when we see that this is a space that, as we are discussing, little bit of hype and all is there. So a lot of people are getting into it because of the hype as well, rather than the
Correct.
fundamentals. So,
Correct.
like any word of caution or advice as well, that some downsides that are there because of this crypto hype. What are the things people should look out for? Uh,
Correct.
yeah.
No, so no denying that have been a massive hype around crypto, not just very recently, but in last 2, 3, 4 years as well, right? And we have seen those ups and downs, the tulip mania, where suddenly everyone is buying, and then there are price crashes, etc. Right? Uh, One thing, however, even hypes do follow a pattern. That, for example, if you look at history of internet as well, right?
Yeah.
When internet in the very beginning, there was a period where everyone was going in the mad rush, right? So there are two categories of people. There are first early adopters who
Right.
understand the concept, who knows what the real value is, and then they kind of make bets on it. And that always follows a second wave of mad rush, where because of certain returns or certain things, there will be a larger volume of people who do not really understand what is going on, but they just start jumping into the space just because everyone else is doing it, right? And that is what leads to rush, and that is what leads to crash later as well. Now when the crash happens, then despite
Yeah.
value being there, then people start doubting that like there is a crash happening, so there must be no value at all, right? So both are
Right.
incorrect. Just like the rise of internet, crypto and blockchain as a fundamental has a lot of value, but then there was a mad rush that started, where a lot of people, a lot of, and actually very candidly, there were even organizations who took wrong benefit of that, right? Launching, let's say,
Hmm.
tokens which do not really have any inherent value,
Yeah.
launching them with a lot of fanfare, a lot of people investing in them, and then them entirely crashing.
Right.
So what I would say is that see, like, these cycles are nature of the industry. Hypes come, hypes go, but then fundamental remains, and they on a longer period of time. So for example, anyone who said, there were actually back in 1998, 99, there were people who said that internet is just hype and it will not even exist, right? Which was absolutely not true. While
Right.
there was a crash in 98, 99, the dot-com bubble burst and a lot of money was lost, but that didn't mean that the fundamental piece of technology which is adding value, that will get lost, right? So same with the
Yes, I mean
blockchain.
the companies
uh,
like Google, Amazon, they also sort of grew during that bubble only. So who had
Absolutely.
their who had their fundamentals right, they are huge companies today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we are going to see a similar pattern in the blockchain as well. That is what I see. However, what one must remain, very careful about is that, particularly when it comes to financial investments, right?
Yes.
There, one definitely should be very, very cautious. One thing that I advise everyone very strongly against is that, until and unless you are a professional investor whose full-time job 24/7 is just investing and pulling out money, more of doing day trading, you shouldn't do speculative trading of in the crypto space. Otherwise, 99%, but rather 99.9% chances are that you are going to lose your money, right? Either you can do, if you understand the fundamentals really well, if you know that there are certain fundamentals that I understand, then you should only consider doing very long term investment, where that for next 4 or 5 years I'm not even gonna look at what prices are gonna be, and then you do those investment only considering you know where you understand the real fundamental, not just that my friend said it's gonna give a lot of return, so I'm investing, right? So you should only invest in spaces where you really understand the stuff. And trading, day trading, or the kind of like thinking that fine, I will just invest now, and when it's at peak I will sell it out and make some cash. Don't do that. 99% 9 chances are that there are big players who are actually moving the market, and they are the ones who make the money, and you 99% of the kind of retail traders, they always end up losing the money. So my advice will be against that. Only do value investing for long term if you understand the fundamentals well, else stay away from financial investment. Rather learn the tech, learn the the programming behind it, learn the kind of architecture behind it, and make money as a developer building those
Right.
systems rather than kind of fueling your money into just the financial instruments.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I think sort of one aspect that we already did cover a little bit about things that people fundamental they should learn in the technology before they get into blockchain. But we also have had some more question also about that. I think Raj and Jeevan they have asked. So I'll try to get into that a little more into detail once again. That is, if somebody wants to learn about blockchain technology professionally, so what are sort of the building blocks around it?
Right,
There are a lot of important pieces in fundamental computation which are important,
right,
and a lot of people skip that and they start getting into
right,
solidity, etc. Before that,
right,
your views on that? What are
right,
important
right.
topics that they must cover?
Right. So one very basic fundamental building block of if you are thinking of getting started with blockchain and crypto, first you have to understand what is cryptography. Cryptography is actually not a new field. Like it's actually interestingly, the development of computer science itself started because of cryptography.
Correct.
During the Second
Alan
World War,
Turing and
when
all this.
Alan Turing, when they started trying to decode the Nazi Germany's message, that is what cryptography is about, and like that is what led to actually development of computers at the first place, right? So
Correct.
cryptocurrency, when we say, that is how where it is rooted, right? So understanding cryptography, of course, first is very important. Understanding the basic fundamental designing blocks of cryptography,
Right.
which actually often is based on various hashing algorithms, because now, like many of you might have heard, that hashing is the basic building block of cryptocurrency as well, right? That
Right.
every block is basically first hashed. Miners, basically, the crypto miners, they
Right.
hash different blocks, and then together they make a meaningful block of the whole chain that gets created. So first,
Right.
building a very sound understanding of cryptography is very, very important. If you do not understand that, you might be using certain libraries and frameworks, but you most likely will not be able to make meaningful contribution to the development of crypto systems. So that is first. And cryptography then in turn is actually basically very heavily rooted in advanced mathematics, like the Euclidean plane, on which, like for example, how do these various hashing functions work, is
Right.
essentially very advanced mathematical functions, right? So
Right.
that is the, I think, very fundamental that everyone should learn. So basically, how do Merkle's chain work? What are the various hashing techniques used in the computations? That is something very important. So one must first focus on those fundamentals, right?
Correct.
Now, again, when we talk about blockchain, crypto, etc., it sounds like it must be some very new fancy tech, but it is not so. So as I was saying earlier, that it is
Yeah.
nothing but in a way a distributed linked list, right?
Yeah.
So one very starting point might be just go ahead and start solving multiple problems based on linked list, maybe on interview bit, right? Because that is the fundamental. If you do not understand how in a linked list different blocks point to each other, and how there might be a multi-dimensional, like two-dimensional linked list, or how there could be circular linked list or doubly linked list, etc. These are, I think, first having very strong command on all these fundamentals is very important for to be able to become a good blockchain developer.
Understood. Understood. No, that's definitely there. I have, I have taken sometimes, some classes and all where people have been interested in talking about blockchain, and I
Yeah,
find that even if I explain to them how, say, this hash tree for a torrent gets created when it is
yeah,
uploaded to the peer network, or how Git works, basically this commit IDs of Gits, they are also linked like a blockchain.
right,
And explaining them, a lot of people then realize that, oh, it's not fundamentally different from how we have
correct,
been using these concepts already in other places.
correct, yeah,
And knowing them better can obviously help a lot.
correct,
And so by the way, there is another question here. So Raj has asked that, if he knows web development, understands the concept of cryptography and the concepts of blockchain, is it possible to make a project involving blockchain? So
yeah,
I think I can take up a little bit of this, Raj, here. I would say, look at, what are called these days dApps are called distributed apps. It's called and look at things like IPFS, for example. People are making distributed file systems. People are creating smart contracts. So actually, I am from electrical engineering background, and one of the things that I saw was very important, which I feel like smart contracts can help solve, is that in the power grid, basically, there are a lot of people selling electricity. Like say Adani Power has some power station, and they're selling electricity. Coal India is having a coal plant; they're selling electricity. And then these cities like government of Delhi, municipality of this thing, say Bangalore, they would be wanting to buy electricity. Now these kind of things, they are decided a little bit in advance, like 15 days before. Like today, how much electricity will be put on the grid, and how much electricity will be taken from the grid. These things 15 days in advance it is decided, and such contracts are signed actually. So if Delhi says that we want to take 40 megawatt power, even on the particular day, if they don't need 40 megawatt, they will still have to take 40 megawatt power. They'll have to buy that. And if they need more than 40 megawatt, then there is a problem. Then load shedding will have to happen. Internally, the power distribution company will have to reduce the load somewhere, because the contract is already signed. So I think this is a space. It's a very long-running tradition of this, future contracts. It is called options and future contracts for this power grid sharing. Now these are places where you can use actually blockchain, where these contracts are written into the blockchain already. That it becomes tamper-proof. The money at which this, and some central governing body then stops needing to be there, who will control these things, because today you need somebody like a power grid corporation who handles these things, but then that can be more decentralized. So like that, there can be ideas. And any other ideas? I think Abhimanyu, you might have any ideas to suggest to Raj.
Right. No, you covered it pretty well. That that if you have these fundamentals, definitely, you can start building on to something. Actually, maybe I will maybe also share what we were talking just some time back. That in some time probably we will do session on building some basic blockchain applications. So keep a
Right,
watch on our YouTube channel as well. We will maybe announce whenever we are conducting that workshop. And you can of course join us as well. That might be a good starting point for many who know the fundamentals but want to kind of get started with building an application.
Right. Yeah. I think Prasanna did a more theoretical topic, and after that also there was a lot of demand that they want
Right.
to learn to build from scratch, and I think we plan to do that. So we will keep you people updated for that. When we come up with a sort of hands-on workshop for that.
Right.
So we'll do that, and for that stay subscribed to our channel. You will get to know that when that happens.
Right.
I think for now we can wrap up this topic, and hope all of you people be mindful of the things that when you said, which is very important, that fundamentals, understand what is the computation that goes behind it, rather than
Right.
just think of it. So blockchain is not just a couple of cryptocurrencies going up and down in the market. Don't think of it as only that. It's very important that we think of the technology beneath it and see where it can be applied. Today, I feel a lot of places blockchain also getting applied where blockchain is not needed because of that hype. Now, if you remove that hype and you fundamentally understand, then you will see real use cases, rather than just trying to fit it into it because just to be cool or something like that. So we'll definitely announce very soon when we have I think we'll plan a workshop where we will get you people to build a blockchain by your own hands using something like Solidity or even with JavaScript, so that it's easy to get started with that. So catch you guys when that happens. Till then, stay subscribed to for discussions like this. Have a nice day, everybody.
Awesome. Take care, everyone, and of course subscribe so that you are updated of whenever we announce new stuff. Take care.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Manu.
Yeah.